Hello! Welcome back to the Druidic Stormcloud channel. Today we will be streaming with Ryu no Kage.
All right. And saying my connection is iffy again.
Oh boy.
It's always something, isn't it?
It's always something. After all, nature abhors a vacuum, so it can never be nothing.
Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Hooray!
Time and again and again and again. Also, a lot of things can still be attributed or
Sometimes I wonder
explained with Malcolm's
need
razor. But if it's a repeated thing, then either they're too much so, or there actually is malice.
Well, it says my connection's unstable, but it's going up and down. All right, let me fiddle with a few things.
It seems Ryu is having a lot of issues.
All right, that seemed to have done it a little bit. All right. We should be good now.
Excellent.
Yep. That seemed to fix the problem. I had play around with my network adapters.
Ah. Alright, so we're
Of
good
course.
to completely start.
Yes. Okay, so Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. This is actually a sequel to Coliseum. And a vastly different story. And with some vastly different mechanics. However, I will warn you, it is Gen 3 mechanics, so the whether a move is physical or special depends on the type. So keep that in mind.
Yes. Which still screws
So, for example,
over
Gengar
Flareon.
is... Yep. Which we'll get to that when we get there. Okay, so the Pro Tag is an interesting one. His default name is Michael. Obviously, you know what we're doing here.
There we go. I managed to get to the lowercase. You mean the protagonist's name
And then
isn't a pun?
Yes. Isn't that weird? Also, for a game that released in 2005, this intro goes very hard.
It really does.
Yeah, let me just abduct an entire cruise liner.
I mean, Lugia is a psychic type.
Yeah.
You want to know why Lugia is a... First, let's talk about Lugia. Lugia exists as a Pokemon because of the movie.
Yep.
Oh, we are in control of this. Okay. Alright, let's use Earthquake here.
Best starter ever. Salamence.
A level 50
This is
Salamence.
Gen 3, so Salamence is a beast.
It really is. Even if it's up against Metagross.
Gen 3, the only generation to give us 2 pseudo-legendaries.
We never talk about whether or not we're voicing things.
I mean, I've already kind of gone through it. I'm just going to, like, only voice, like, important characters. Yes, it was just a simulation the whole time.
Yep. Because starting with a level 50 Pokemon would be rude.
Yes. So, your starter by default is an Eevee. This is on purpose. Because this was an era when Eevee only had the 5 options, but you get to pick whatever you want to go with. Also, mine is a naive nature, so that's very good. That's increased speed, lower special defense.
Mine's a rash nature.
I think that's the opposite, sort of. It's plus speed minus physical defense.
Yeah. No, it might be plus special defense because everything else is 17s, but special defense is 18 and defense is 16.
Increases special attack, decreases special defense.
Oh. Oh. Then its IVs must be pretty good for special defense, balancing it out.
I think this is supposed to be a perfect, no matter what.
That makes sense. Which means Let's
me,
Go
check.
Eevee is parallel to this.
Let me check Maryland's IV calculator. Okay, so mine is naive. Well, 10. 16, 16, 14, 18. Whoop. 32, 16, 16, 14, 18, 17. All right, so according to Maryland's site here, it's okay. I could have anywhere from a 10 to 19 in HP and defense, but I could have anywhere from a 20 to a perfect in special defense.
Huh.
As for you, what are its stats?
Oh, I'm in a... I'm in the middle of a scene right now, but I'll check the HP before or after that. But all the stats are 17 except for special defense, which is 18. And I think it was defense that was 16. As for HP is 31.
All right, let's see here.
Yeah, defense is 16, special defense is 18.
All right. You have a potentially perfect IV in special defense. Special attack could be anywhere from 20 to 29. And everything else except HP, it could be anywhere between 10 and 19. HP is the lowest. It is anywhere between 0 and 9. But that's not bad at all.
Glass cannon EVs are common.
I mean, that's Jolteon's bread and butter.
And
it's
Rash,
the definition of a glass cannon.
And Rash is stat-wise...
plus special attack, so yes.
I might have to go either Espeon or Jolteon, honestly.
So, as it states, yes, we indeed choose our evolution as our starter. It depends on the situation, but I will say, Gen 3, skip Flareon as much as it pains me to say, skip Umbreon.
Yeah, Dark
Reason being is Flareon's typing, move, learn set, and stats do not work. And then Umbreon learns like no good moves.
Yeah, you need TMs to get Umbreon anything.
Remotely decent, even. So it comes down to Vaporeon, who has one glaring flaw. Its learn set isn't great.
It's really not. I mean, remember when Umbreon could learn Calm Mind?
Yeah, and want to know what sucks about this game? Calm Mind is locked to the post-game. Because we can't have nice things. Okay. So your tip was to head to your room within the HQ lab, which is kind of crazy that we live in a laboratory. Also, hi, Plusle.
That's it.
Yeah, that's like the living quarters of the lab.
There's a Plusle in there, and there's something over here. Hey, there's something on our desk. But there's also this. A Pokeball-colored box.
Yes, those are the random items that you find throughout the game. So, yes, it comes down to Vaporeon, because unfortunately, the way this game works, and I'll probably just let you have this one, because there's only one good water type in at this point in the game.
Oh, right.
Besides Vaporeon. See, I was going over this earlier, but part of this little co-op is we we cannot use the same Pokemon. Beginning of the game does not count, though, because our options are extremely limited.
We have an Eevee.
We have an Eevee, and we're going to pick up 4 of the same Pokemon, at least temporarily.
I will say that depending on what our Wurmple evolves into, we might be allowed to keep them.
There is no Wurmple.
There's no Wurmple.
No.
Are there Poliwag?
No. You can get Poliwrath, but unfortunately it's in the final dungeon of the game. The thing is, though, the way the game is set up, it really doesn't matter, though. The way the game's set up is you can stop and grind at any time. It's very easy to. Also, they're not clear about where you need to go. You have to go up the elevator and then go into the room past the professor and your mother. Down and to the left, there's a guy hiding underneath a desk. You need to talk to him. Yeah, they're not clear about... The thing is, they're not super clear about like locations and things like that, which I do appreciate because it makes it more challenging to figure things out on your own. But there are times where it's like you'll just be running around aimlessly and we'll know what's going on. So there's a little door to the left of where the professor's standing.
I see someone under there, but I also see a Quagsire.
Yep.
If that is your Quagsire, sir, you have a beast.
I will say, somewhat soon, we'll be able to get one of our own.
In that case, I
So
call
that's
it...
However, I will explain that when we get there, but it is a wild Pokemon, and it is a rare encounter.
Okay, whoever encounters it first can get it.
Otherwise, I'm going to probably choose Vaporeon because I will not have a water type for a long part of the game. And I kind of need one. At least if I do the fire, water, grass core, I can at least do something else with fire and grass.
True. Alright, so apparently he's at a mansion.
Yep. To do that, you just leave and go out to the map.
Oh, we have the scooter.
Yeah, it's not as cool as Wes's motorcycle, but you're not going to get anything like that again.
Nope.
I'm going to do this
ominous
optional
about
battle.
this place. Optional battle?
Yeah, there's an optional battle back at the lab.
Oh. Do you get anything for doing it?
No, just experience. And the guy has a lot of money.
Money, huh? Okay. I will go back to the lab and fight as well.
Also, I will point out something about this Eevee. This also proves, well, nah, he only gives you 250. He gives you more money later.
So he doesn't give you a lot of money.
The extra experience is nice, though.
Eh.
I will say, the Eevee in this game has its has its own special attack animation. You do not see it anywhere else in the series. Its hairstyle is not unique, though, because it carried over into the Let's Go games.
True.
You can voice this kid if you want to, but because he is sort of an important character.
He has a sun curve.
I do. You're going to grow to hate this kid very quickly.
He has a sun curve. I already do.
It doesn't get much better. You want to know what? Okay, so all battles are single until we get another Pokemon, then they become double battles. All right. Guess what the genius decides to add?
Pseudo-Wudo?
Nope. Magic Carp. So he has two of the weakest Pokemon for his Pokemon. Also, the music in this game is fantastic.
Yeah.
Ergo, he says.
No, I didn't get lost.
Also, it's like, why in the world does your little sister talk in the third person? That's a quirk. That's a quirk in Japan.
Yeah, I guess they didn't translate as much as they thought they did.
Let the VCR. Oh my gosh. No one's gonna know what that is now.
Oh, that hurts.
I know.
I think the closest we're gonna get to that motorcycle ever. Oh, there's my noon. I guess there are sisters Pokemon.
Yeah, the Plusle and the Minun.
Plusle and Minun are the perfect representation of a tag team.
Yep.
In fact, didn't double battles first show up in Gen 3? with one
Yep.
particular infamous difficulty spiking gem.
Even if you have the water starter, good luck. Because they account for that because they have run Sunny Day and Solar Beam.
Oh, yes, they do. And it's not just the level that is a spike.
No, that gem is very difficult.
It is a tactical spike. It is a... Oy.
Which is why I appreciate Emerald, because they threw in more double battles.
Yes, they did. And that is why the Pika clone of Gen 3 is one of the gimmick Pokemon.
Exactly.
And here's what I mean by gimmick Pokemon. Pokemon whose existence is only there for a gimmick. In Gen 1, we don't really have that. True. But in Gen 1, we don't so much have that. The closest we have is Farfetch'd.
Yeah.
He exists for that very annoying trait. In Gen 2, we have a couple of them. Unknown is an example of them. But it's not the only one. Paths were created so that Sudowoodo could block them. He counts.
True.
In Gen 3, we have, obviously, Plusle and Minun, but we also have Castform.
There's also Volbeat and Illumise.
And they're less prominent. I would also say that Espeon
Plusle and
Umbreon...
Minun also give each other boost.
I would also say that Espeon and Umbreon count because of their evolution in the time. But back to Gen 3. We have Castform, and we have the tag team of Plusle and Minun. Gen 4 has a very controversial and banned Pokemon.
Yes. Also, every generation has a gimmick for an evolution, too. And they get crazier and crazier.
NK.
Well, Gen 1 was trade evolutions.
Gen 2 was held item evolutions and time of day evolutions.
And friendship.
And friendship.
Gen 3 was, they leaned a little more in... Did they really have any weird evolutions? Oh, Milotic. Yes.
Yeah. They had the contest evolution of Milotic that was scrapped.
Then Gen 4 was, a Pokemon had to know this move to evolve.
Yes. Gen 5, however, had fewer of those, but its gimmick Pokemon, Sawsbuck and Deerling, represented the seasons that they added to the game.
Also, the evolution gimmick was Carablast and Shelmet.
Yes, they were that gen.
Then Gen 6's weird thing was Inkay and
being
Affection being
down.
a thing.
They've also added the fairy type.
Yes.
So we have the tentacled. I want to emphasize that Sylveon is tentacled.
Yep.
Those ribbons.
This
are
is also
tentacles.
partially why I would love them to remake this game, like bring it into today's generation, because the thing is, it's like you have an Eevee. You do the math. You know how broken Sylveon would be in this game?
It would be. It seriously would be.
Because a lot of the Pokemon we're going to run into are dark and normal types. Not dark and normal types. Dark and...
Dragon?
We don't really run into a lot of dragons, unfortunately. Fighting. One thing I like about the crime organization in this game, though, is everyone does not use the same Pokemon.
What? They're not all using Zubats and Rattatas?
No, they're actually competent.
Maybe that's how they managed to successfully abduct the SSN. Wouldn't it be funny if it actually turns out to be the SSN?
It isn't, though.
It should have been.
Well, that would explain why we never see it again. Also, the battle theme for the bad guys, Wah, Chef's Kiss. It is so good. Even though it's just the same thing looping every 30 seconds, it's very good.
A battle theme doesn't need to be long, it just needs to be intense enough.
And this one definitely fits the bill.
Why do I think these guys look like Super Sentai heroes?
That's kind of the joke with them. But I'll make this a little more obvious because most of them, they all just wear white armor. They're stormtroopers.
No. The scarf makes them look Super Sentai.
True. There is also a segment up ahead where they dial that up to 9.
Why is the professor smiling?
Hey, budget limitations. They can only do so much with these games.
Oh, that's a Teddy Ursa that's shadowed.
Oh yeah, I also want to point out something. Tell me if this sounds familiar. This game is good. These games are good, right? You want to know why? Game Freak had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
I love this theme.
So join the party.
Now, like I said in the beginning, both of us are going to have the same Pokemon because we don't have a choice.
It is a temporary one.
Yep.
And I mean, even if we both block out Teddy Ursa, that's not going to be a huge blow to either of us.
Well, it's set up, you're guaranteed to capture it.
Yeah.
It's the only one, though. Well, until the Master Ball is obtained, but that's kind of obvious. The theme that's about to play, by the way, on your part of the screen is one of my favorite themes in the game. And unfortunately, it only plays for this part of the game.
This is good.
Yeah. So, Genius Sonority. Who in the world are they? If they don't sound familiar, the last thing they did before these games was Dragon Quest. I am not joking.
Which one?
Yes. They had just done, let's see, this was 2005. They had just done 8.
Oh, 8 was good. Alright, so they're going
But that's
to
also why.
purification chamber.
But that's also why a lot of the themes sound square-like.
It's also why the main character's hair is so spiky.
Yep. Oh, you should have seen Costa's protagonist. That dude was intense. But there was a reason for that.
Oh, I didn't want to...
I don't know why they released this game before they put Coliseum onto Switch Online, but oh well, whatever. I guess they wanted this one to sell before, as a selling point before they released Coliseum. Because they were losing a lot of money to Coliseum. I will say this, Coliseum is actually far harder than this game. This game's a little bit easier. Not by much.
Okay, where are we supposed to go now?
You have to go back up to the director's lab and then that little door to the left of it.
Okay.
You have to speak to Lily, your mother. Which, I want to point out, this is before we have the Lily and Gen 7.
This is long before that.
Yep.
Alright, so we have to go to a new location. And our sister is tagging along.
Yep. And cinematic battle. Whenever you get there. Also, I am just going to go ahead and say this. Whenever you see these characters, it's like, gee, I wonder who the villain is.
Honestly, I feel like this evil team could have been a precursor to the Ether Foundation.
They easily could have been. To which, even in the RP, I'm going to kind of have these guys, like, what's left of them.
I need to get
They're
back
the
on
ones that, yeah, I have things planned. Let me just put it that way.
But yeah, I'm in an RP server with him on about Pokemon, and my character is from Unova and wants to become a Pokemon professor. And his team consists of a Varoom that he hatched from an egg that the champion of Unova brought to him and just gave to him as his first Pokemon, and a Rotom he caught that was causing mischief.
Because of course they do. That's their MO.
That's literally what they do.
Yep.
But there are a couple of ways that this character could develop team-wise.
So I do pose the question after this little show off. Gee, I wonder who the villain is.
Random Alakazam. Just one-shots his shadow Pokemon.
Yep. I mean, it's Alakazam. What do you expect? All right, so here comes the choice for me. I have mentioned before, I am not going to be able to get very many water types, so we're going to go with Vaporeon. Now, I bet you're wondering, this game has no day and night cycle, so how do you get Espeon and Umbreon? Well, go and see for yourself. It's actually pretty cool how they do this. And we're just going to evolve right away.
You said we're going to be up against a lot of fighting and dark types, yes?
Yes.
That's even more reason for me to go with Jolteon. This looks like a machine shop.
Now, the thing that helps with Jolteon is you have to tutor it, but it'd be one of the best users of Thunder Wave throughout the main story. And you can get it very early, so that's very good to have. Okay, so before we go back to the part shop, I recommend exploring the town a bit, because there are some missable Pokemon here.
Moonshard, Sunshard. We're going with the Thunderstone.
But it is ingenious how they work with how they give you access to Espeon and Umbreon, though. To which I was like, what was wrong with the Sunstone and the Moonstone?
I'm also going to use my stone real quick.
Yep. I did that immediately for Vaporeon because, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be seeing very many water types for a while. Which is a tip of, I'm letting you have the first water type you see.
I would also like to point out that the original 3 evolutions, Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon, are parallel to the starters in that they're all super effective against one of them.
Yeah. But not against each other because Jolteon's the odd man out.
Yeah. Which, oddly enough, makes Flareon even more of the weakest evolution possible.
Yep.
The fluffy boy got all the hate. Right,
and, fortunately, though, once we got to Gen 4, well, I would say Gen 6, rather, Flareon actually got a bit better. Because there are more physical fire-type moves now. And 2, they increase its learn set a bit, because now I can learn Super Power and Play Rough.
Yeah.
Meaning that its high physical attack stat is not going to go to waste anymore. And like I said, check around town because there are some Pokemon that you can miss here.
I heard you, so that's what I'm doing.
Unfortunately, it won't be for a bit, but we also get introduced to easily my favorite character in Pokemon in this game. Well, in this series, I should say.
There.
It's sad that they never brought him back, though.
There are many a character they never bring back.
And they easily could have brought him back, at least for X and Y, or at least mentioned them. There's a reason why.
Is he French? Oh wait, he's
No.
the Afro guy, isn't he?
Yep, he's a dancer. What was Tierno's big shtick? It's like he could mention, "Hey, I found someone who's mentoring me to do all the best moves," and he could say, I forgot what his name was," which is terrible, but it's like, I forgot what his name was, but he had like this weird hairstyle that was shaped like a ball. And it's like, anyone who's played these games will know immediately who that is.
Yeah. I haven't even played the game, but I recognize that, oh yeah, that guy's a thing.
Yes. He's one of the greatest original characters ever. Original only to these games, unfortunately.
Oh, there's a Pokemon Center. There's a shop.
Now, the shop does scale with you. This one in particular, this one gets better and better as the game goes on.
Wingull and Lotad.
Oh yeah, in case this happens, if a shadow Pokemon goes into reverse mode, you notice on the action select screen, there's an option that says call. Do that.
Yeah. I did look up a video on tips and things to know before playing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Also, call is a free. Also, call is a free awakening.
Yeah. So we don't have to spend money on any of those ever.
Nope. If anything, if you find them, they're selling fodder. Also, obviously, off-screen grinding is allowed because there are some... True to the Dragon Quest devs, there are some difficulty spikes in this game.
As there should be.
Oh, I love these two sailors.
Yeah, they are.
The banter with them is amazing.
They were funny. I'm guessing that we can get a Krabby in here.
Unfortunately, no. But I do like the aesthetic of this place. Plus saxophone music. Who doesn't love the sound of an amazing tenor sax? Which is why I'm happy that Insane in the Rain has been hired by Pokemon. I can tell. And yeah, the reason why I'm not streaming tomorrow is because I have tickets to a concert.
Ah.
So, there's that.
I guess that guy's a friendship checker.
Yes, he is. And it's set up to no matter what, the Eevee is always one level away from evolving into Umbreon or Espeon. They're very nice to you in the beginning.
Come on. We're right there. Well.
Look, this may not be Gen 4 onwards, but a Meryl still scares me.
As they should. As they should.
Because this is when they got their broken ability.
Is the water Pokemon in the sewer? Oh, I got a potion. Random Munchlax.
TM45. I believe that is a tract.
By the way, remember, Munchlax wasn't officially in a Pokemon game until Gen 4.
Yes, and this game previews 2 Gen 4 Pokemon. Munchlax is
however,
one.
First appeared in a Pokemon game in Mystery Dungeon.
Yes, that is very true. Also, technically speaking, Lucario first appeared in Mystery Dungeon as well.
Yes.
Because there is a rank that's just called Lucario. I'm being serious.
It really is. Lucario was hinted at as a legendary rescue team.
He was a solo rescuer, too.
That's why he's a team in and of himself.
Yep. And then, you know, Bonsly never really did get heavily featured, but Munchlax and Lucario got heavily featured in movies.
Yeah. Where the heck
Munchlax
is
was
this
just-
encounter supposed to be?
It's across the bridges towards the lighthouse. There's a lighthouse in the northeast.
Up where those were enough that it was.
You have to change those bridges to go across. There's a way all the way on the other side.
Oh. Yeah, it got.
I love that saxophone.
Alright, 3 more Pokeballs. Oh, here we go.
And then when you go back downstairs, when you exit the lighthouse, head right.
One of them's a shadow. Poochyena Shadow. Alright, so I'm going to take out this Zubat. Called that on damage. Next item. And I'll also use a potion if that doesn't catch it. Oh, that use it immediately, that's fine.
Yeah, be very careful because the item usage can be a little trigger happy, I guess. Rather, be careful being trigger happy. Also, here's the rundown on shadow moves. They're super effective on all Pokemon except shadow Pokemon.
Okay, you can't use anything with you. I'm gonna just call for you.
Oh yeah, you can't use 2 Pokeballs in one turn. Which is kind of a bummer because later on, teams will end up having more than one shadow. Here's also a tip, I think.
Call with you, and then we're going to use a Shadow Blitz with you.
Teddiursa might have Lick now, yeah. Which may not be very effective, but that 30% paralysis is nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how much damage the base one would do. It's not that great a move, but against other shadow ones. Actually, let's use
Also,
Sand Attack on you.
I will point out something very interesting. While they are shadow Pokemon, no matter what, they are perfect.
Yeah. The entire concept of Shadow Pokemon is in reference to Pokemon Forever.
Yes. Because as Vicious stated, it makes the Pokemon evil and turns its power all the way to the max. That's the official name of that character.
Yep.
Also, he's played by Dan Green. Because why not?
Reverse mode is bad. Okay.
I always find it funny that he's it's like, yeah, it's he's played by the Pharaoh from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Alright, gotta use Call on you.
It's actually kind of crazy you're having this much trouble with Pucciana, because Pucciana's catch rate's not that low.
And I threw 2 Pokeballs
It's not guaranteed. I think it's
off the top, and it broke out without any shakes at all. So now I'm trying to get it paralyzed and up my chances.
I will say I did catch my Pucciana at yellow health, so that might be good enough. The other shadow in the area is nothing special either. I mean, Pucciana is at least okay for this part of the game, but it's not great. Hey, you got paralysis. Well, there you go.
And then go to Call.
Let's see if you hear lawnmower. Sorry. Father's cutting the grass, even though it just kind of rained here.
Blaming your Pokemon is the most pathetic thing you could have done.
No, it's called Get Good. It's like, you have a Zubat, sure, but Zubat after a while actually becomes good.
And even before it becomes good, it can be a pain to anyone else.
Yep.
But I mean, only 33% of players can actually use it effectively.
Exactly. Only 55% of people will be confused about this. Zubat used Supersonic.
Random people. I'm going down the lighthouse by the stairs.
Also, if you need a point of reference, apparently Ouray, that's the name of the region that we're in, is based on Arizona.
I got Self-Fodder!
Yep. Awakenings are completely useless in this game. Because you have a free one. You have a free one in the call button.
Which basically hints that this is not a silent protagonist, but that they are very loud.
Yeah. If you're loud enough to arouse a Pokemon awake, you're pretty loud.
And if that's the case, then it leads me to think that maybe the Poke Flute is just a large whistle.
Well, according to the lore, it looks like one of those penny whistles. With a Pokeball glued onto it. That's essentially what it is. So yeah, after you leave the lighthouse, head over to the cliffside to the right. Well, your left, the right of the lighthouse. Or whatever.
Should still be good. Casual guide cycle. Style. Pillow and Ladybug.
So here's a good thing about choosing Jolteon. I forgot. You potentially have access to Thunder Wave right away. There's a move tutor lady in the next place you're going to.
Oh.
And she teaches Thunder Wave. It can only be learned once, however, but honestly,
it's going on Jolteon.
And if you are bringing Pokemon in from the other games, which you can't in this version,
nope.
Then just teach it Thunder Wave before it prior to bringing it over. Simple. Also, these have one of the greatest trainer classes in the game. Fun Old Man. That is their trainer class, Fun Old Man. There used to be a counterpart, Fun Old Lady, but they changed it to Matron. Which, technically is the same thing.
Technically. Okay, it doesn't have the paralysis, but it's in yellow, so.
Also, Ladybug's not hard to capture. It's a Pokemon you're never going to use. Alright. That's like the only bit of side content. There's also that sailor on the west dock that will give you the TM for Attract if you want it.
On the west dock?
Mm-hmm. He's standing near a boat. You have to battle him though, but he will give you Attract.
Attract isn't that good.
No.
Besides, if you're gonna mess with someone, status-wise, paralysis, confusion, and flinch combos are better.
But I did do paralysis, confusion, and attraction. It was so funny.
It can be, yeah.
My opponent could not do anything. It was so funny.
Well, there's an oddish.
One time I decided to be very mean and ran Confused Ray and Toxic on my Crobat. And I on purpose thought it'd fly, so I wasted a turn while the Toxic Poison got worse. And it was in a double battle. What was his partner? Wobbuffet.
Wobbuffet.
So you can't cheese it by switching out. You just gotta sit there and suffer.
You wanna know what would be worse?
What's that?
If Wobbuffet could have used the proper form of curse.
I know, right?
But
Or what if
with Gen
what if Wobbuffet could
9
learn Perish Song?
Oh no.
That's just
Gen 9, get Wobbuffet, get it Ghost Terra type, and get it Curse.
Unfortunately, Wobbuffet only learns 4 moves in its life. That's the downside. I wish it could do that, though. That would be hilarious.
True. Alright, well, we have the machine part. Now we go back to the lab, yes?
Yep. There's nothing else to do, really.
I feel like this is not really a race, because I have literally no clue what's going on.
Nope. It's also why I'm grinding. Just cause. Cause obviously I need to purify these shadows anyway a little quicker. And then the other thing is it's like, let's get some extra experience for Vaporeon because well, holy crap. Oh yeah, I forgot. Check your Teddy Ursa. It does have pickup.
Oh, it does? Right.
Yeah, it just gave me an Ultra Ball. Okay. I'll take an early game Ultra Ball.
It's not holding anything.
Just keep that in mind.
That's not to say that there isn't a challenge.
Yeah, so we can't. The only part that's a challenge is we just can't use the same Pokemon.
Also,
except for the beginning, because there's no way to fix that.
Also, there is one thing we're going to be trying to accomplish. And that is a challenge in and of itself. Attempting to capture all of the final boss's Pokemon in one go.
Yep. Fortunately, we do have a rewind function, so if a critical hit happens, you're allowed to use that maybe once, I'd say. You know, that random stray critical hit that knocks it out is like, seriously? Because it's like, that's not your fault. That's just RNG telling you no. I'd say we get one mulligan if like a stray critical hit happens.
And only if it's a crit. If it's normal damage and you just miscalculated, that's on you.
Yep. You just had a bad damage roll, a higher damage roll, and it's like, well. Oh well. Don't really get anything out of it but bragging rights, but that is a very difficult thing to pull off. I have done it before. But it is very hard.
Alright, so another new location. Landing G. To get a relic stone.
So this game also sort of expands the lore on Celebi a bit.
Well, that's good because Celebi has so much potential, but very rarely is referenced.
Except for one movie, a couple stray episodes, and a concept that we never got in Crystal version until we got the the Virtual Console version of the game. Also, one question I always had was, okay, we have a deity of time now. How does it feel about Celebi?
How does the deity of space feel about Hoopa?
Yeah, that's very true. And the deity of antimatter has proven that it does not like him. Giratina was very angry with Koopa.
Is it antimatter, though?
Supposedly.
I think it's more gravity.
Yeah, true. Especially since the laws of gravity do not apply in its realm.
They apply, they just don't apply how they should.
Yeah. Oh, fair, yeah. Also, the fact that they pulled that off on a Nintendo DS's hardware is very impressive.
It is. I mean, even the opening cinematic. Oh, perfection.
Yeah.
Teddy versus in reverse mode again. Tackle with you. We're going to call to you to lower your heart gauge too, so that's good.
There's also an ongoing theory with Egon, the old man that called you here, essentially. That the theory is this is supposed to be Ash as an old man. Why? Experienced trainer and all he has is Pikachu. Put it together. And
that's annoying.
The other thing that kind of brings this into theory is because his granddaughter suspiciously looks a lot like Misty.
Huh. And guess who? Even in Gen 3, it was still the same. The intended love interest for Ash was. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at the ending of the first Pokemon movie.
Yep.
I mean, in Gen 6, they completely changed it.
Well, yes, but before even that, it's like, it was implied, why was Misty following Ash to begin with to pay her back for destroying her bike? But that kind of was dropped after a while.
It was.
Now it just became, later on, it just became an excuse for them to hang out.
I feel like after 3 attacks from Team Rocket, the bike thing was not going to keep someone around.
Yeah.
None of his Pokemon were shadows.
No, these guys are just optional trainers if you want the extra experience and money.
And
the only one that's worth it is the old lady up there with the Poochyena. She gives you Bullet Seed. Which is not a bad move. Is it a great move? No. But it's a good move.
It's not bad for this stage in the game.
Yeah. Also, the old man at the top of the waterfall will give you a random berry. How it works is every time you leave to the map and come back, he'll give you a new one.
Alright, Asriel and Igglybuff. Really? Well, this'll get the heart gauge down more. Oh, you have Metal Claw!
Yeah, what's crazy is
here, but because these aren't fairy types, like holy
not yet.
frick.
Yeah, the Shadow Pokemon have some moves that they would not know otherwise, which is insanity.
Oh, I got
Metal Claw and the Teddy Ursa, that's pretty good. I believe the Poochyena I believe has Poison Fang.
Oh.
And Ledaba has Aerial Ace, which
Right,
you gotta use a TM for.
Yeah, but I mean it's Ladybug.
Yeah.
So I want to get this sorted here. One of us will use Teddy Ursa, the other will use Poochyena. Which do you want?
Give me the Poochyena. Give me the handicap because it's like I know what I'm doing, everything about the game.
All right, so the druid gets the bear.
Which is probably the better trade-off, honestly, because the bear is pretty good.
True.
It's not very fast, but it hits like a truck.
Also, I just got its heart gauge down.
Yep. Unfortunately, it does lose pickup when it evolves, but milk it while you can.
And it takes a while for a Teddy Ursa to evolve.
It's like level 28, I want to say. I know it's later than usual.
And I could probably get away with bites instead of tackles here, but they're baby Pokemon. I don't want to use the CC for that.
Also, I have a crazy idea for the end of this. You know, after it's all said and done, let's battle each other with our Team on Showdown Gen 3 rules.
Let's do it. Alright, does reverse carry over after battle ends?
Yes.
Noted. Okay.
Also, bear in mind, you cannot use healing items in the field when they're in reverse mode. The only way to heal them is the Pokemon Center, if they are in that state.
So the Ursa can now be purified.
Oh yeah, get used to seeing that, by the way. The one knock I have on this game, the notifications are obnoxious. We will have 3 different types of notifications later on in the game. The purification. Oh. Yeah, that old lady is the one that teaches you Thunder Wave, which is going to be very, very useful.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna get rid of Tail Whip.
Yeah. And just keep trolling people with Sand Attack until you have to get rid of it.
Sand Attack and Thunder Wave.
Yep.
Paralyze? And even when they can move, they can't hit a thing.
Congratulations, you have been banned from VGC.
Ha!
Well, you haven't been banned, you got disqualified for using Sand Attack.
Which is BS, because it's a very viable strategy. And besides, they're ones that have Keen Eye, so I don't have to battle.
Yeah, there's Keen Eye. There are moves that don't miss at all.
Yeah, there are ways around this strategy. It is not perfect.
Now, evasiveness, there's only 2 ways around that.
Does this involve a battle?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
But yes, this region, the Ori region, as it's called, is based on the state of Arizona,
Ooh, Nevada.
which explains the desert. It's like, well, the Sahara is a thing. It's like, yes, but the desert's too small to be the Sahara.
Nevada is a bug and ground type.
Correct.
I'm gonna get rid of it first.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Nincada is also a gimmick evolution Pokemon.
Yes! It splits in 2 because it sheds its skin.
And the skin reanimates and becomes possessed.
And if you stare into the hole in its back, your soul leaves your body.
Yep.
Or so they say.
Also, I have seen some very cheeky strategies with Shedinja over the years.
You already are, so now we Sand Attack you. And we will finish off this with a Shadow Blitz. But yeah. Paralysis. Sand Attack the accuracy all the way down, and then just use Bite.
At least until you get to level 17, then you get Thunder Shock.
Ain't true, but I probably would still keep Bite on because flinch.
Well, yeah. Flinch plus it is a dark type move, which is a special move, which uses their special attack.
Yeah.
Which Jolteon's special attack is extremely high.
Because in Gen 3, it is a special type move.
Yep. This was before this was just before the physical special split. This game.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, but at the same time, it does make you rethink your strategies too. And there were some that made no sense because like all type moves were this type or the other. So all fire moves were special no matter what, even moves that made contact like Fire Punch. Which didn't make a lot of sense. It goes into reverse again. Yeah, this is why once we get to a certain point when the Purify Chamber is accessible to us, it's not going to matter.
Got Bullet Seed then. That was an item. Old guy that called us is probably in this house tree.
Yep. Building a home in the roots of an ancient tree. Not a bad idea, though.
And Baloo, is it?
I think it's Bella, but the names in this game are weird. That's the one thing I will say. Which is why I'm thinking these are not their first names, these are their last names. Except for the admins and the higher-ups of the crime organization.
Wait, did they...
But it's like, why... Sorry.
Hang on. This fridge... Did they predict smart fridges?
Yes. Yes, they did.
Okay, where did that old guy go?
To the forest. It's down below, in the very bottom of the map. It isn't the most obvious place. It's behind the Pokemon Center.
Oh.
The tranquil theme of the Relic Forest. That's the Mart. I know, I always got confused too with that.
Yeah,
but the difference is there's a big...
There it is, okay. Oh.
Yeah, there's a path like to the left of it, of the center.
We can't get by here if we don't battle him, can we?
Right, you have to battle them. Because the point is to switch out to the other Shadow Pokemon to make it easier to purify them.
Sure, I could do that.
Oh, it's Fat Pikachu. I think this was the last game that featured Fat Pikachu.
Newble is also ground type, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. And I'm switching in Pucciina. Won't be using it, but I'll try and purify it a bit. Oh, it already got Poison Fang. Not gonna be effective, but it could poison.
Well, I know exactly what to name you. It's a female dark type dog with an attitude. I'm naming you Sophie after my trug who is very, very moody.
Okay, Numel is poison.
Yeah, that's the good thing about Poison Fang is, and I wish some other moves had this where a toxic poisons them. Like Cross Poison does not have the extra, but like Cross Poison does not have the critical hit ratio that I thought it did.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, wouldn't it make more sense of that toxic poison? Because that would have been cooler.
It would. Honestly, anything that can toxic and then Venoshock.
Yes.
Or Hex.
Those combos are so devastating.
They are. It's great. Sand attack. I need to call. I'm going to need to take a bio break soon.
By the way, I want to point out something too. That was the only way I was able to bust the Ghost type trio in Sun and Moon initially, in my first playthrough. I caught a Frillish that had Hex.
Oh.
And that was the only way I was able to win that trial. Because Mimikyu is a very tough boss.
It is. It's insane. And it's why it's my favorite Pika clone. I refuse to accept people that deny Mimikyu being a Pika clone.
But I was trying to cosplay as Pikachu because it's jealous of all the fame that it has.
It's a little Eldritch Horror in a Pikachu costume.
Yep. That's surprisingly more friendly than people think it is.
It really is. It is a wonderful Pokemon.
It can actually be one of your friends in Pokopia as well. How do you get it to come to your location? Put a Pikachu doll in front of a Pikachu sofa and wait. And sometime later, it's like, hey.
The first mode is dangerous, but I also know that it increases the damage you deal. Right?
No. That's unfortunately that's Coliseum mode.
Oh.
Reverse mode has no benefits, unfortunately. I don't think it does. Let me double check that.
I need to go and heal. And then I'm gonna take a bio break.
See, reverse mode. So the senile old man has a Wobbuffet as a companion. Why does that make sense?
Because that's how it is.
Yep.
For those that don't know, Why Not's name in Japanese directly translates to "Is that so?" and Wobbuffet directly translates to "That's how it is." So that one scene where Team Rocket's Wobbuffet is talking with a Why Not and Meowth says, "You're not missing anything," is quite literal. That's all they were saying.
Yep.
That's the joke.
Okay, so Mount Battle gets pointed out to us. That is the place where a lot of the grinding will take place. This was the first stride of being, hey, we know grinding sucks, so we're going to make it a little easier.
Alright, Thunder Wave on Snubbull, then swap to Nursa for Gianna.
Then they took a little break on that, and then Black and White happened. They made grinding a little bit easier. Then Gen 6 they made it where they made it absurdly easy.
Seriously, and it's not just that all the Pokemon in the party get experience. That's fine. It's a bit frustrating for us old school players at times, but it's fine. My problem with Gen 6 is Choo-Choo, and also how hand-holdy it was.
Gen 7 was debatably worse with that. The hand-holdiness.
Oh. Gen 7.
Also, have I mentioned how much I love skippable cutscenes?
Yes. Skippable cutscenes are great. Especially when you're playing through and something happens and you forgot to save, your battery dies, or anything like that.
Or in like Kingdom Hearts 1's case, if you die to Riku Ransom, which you will.
You will. But you can
You'll have
skip.
to... Yes, in the remakes of it, though.
Yes, in the remakes. In the original, not so much. But...
No, you had to sit there and watch the same cutscene over and over again. But in the remakes, yeah, you can just skip over that.
Alright, I paralyzed both her Pokemon, and...
It's almost like Square learns from their mistakes.
Yeah. Which, even with how some of the Final Fantasy games go later on, I'm only on Crisis Core right now, and it was a spin-off, so it doesn't count in my playthrough. Well, it counts in my playthrough, but what I'm saying is it doesn't count towards what I'm about to talk about. But they are going further from the essence of RPG into more Devil May Cry territory, from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, they've been kind of heading in that direction ever since they started first working on Kingdom Hearts.
And I get that part of it is because they've been working on Kingdom Hearts and their brain's kind of in that zone. But at the same time, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because they could pull back from that.
I heard 16 was not like that, though. It was more turn-based.
16 was?
I don't know. But what we're getting at is, it's like, hey, Square, I know you got to change the build-up every now and then, but the turn-based is combat. That was what made Final Fantasy Final Fantasy.
It really was. Please bring it back.
Now, 15, I understand why they did it that way, because the way the game was, there was no way you could have done anything but that.
Yeah, 15, I have my complaints about it, but your combat system in that was fine for the game it was. And
I heard it wasn't initially, but after a few bug fixes and performance issues, now it's fine.
yeah, it's not my favorite combat system for Final Fantasy, but it's acceptable for its setting. What I'm saying is keep it there.
Yeah.
Alright, Pucciana's heart gauge is almost gone. I'm gonna just switch it over to where Teddy Ursa is so I can... Oh, Teddy Ursa has an item. We got an antidote.
So my Teddy Ursa gave me a very good item, a meh item, which the meh item was funny, and then another good item. The first good item it gave me was an Ultra Ball, and then it gave me a burn heal. I was like, what are you implying here?
It's implying that the time you're going to use that Ultra Ball is going to be a failed capture.
So it's giving me the burn heal already
Yeah.
to deal with it.
Let's
And then it gave me a hyper.
paralyze
And then it gave me a hyper
that
potion.
one, and we're going to call. We're going to get you out of reverse. And there
And
is
then
a
he- and then
benefit
gave me an
in
Ultra Ball.
reverse in that when you call them out of it,
Yeah.
the heart gauge is depleted.
Yes. That's like the only good thing about it, though.
Okay, so
It's kind of
it
just
doesn't
there.
get the boost that I thought it did.
Yeah, that's hyper mode. Hyper mode was in Coliseum, and it made it so no matter what happens, there's a chance the Pokemon may not attack at all and attack the trainers instead, which, yeah, that's a thing, by the way. But what it does instead is it increases I think it like quadruples the critical hit chance of the base Shadow Rush move, which pretty much means every hit's going to be a guaranteed crit.
Alright, we got Toxic off on Cacnea, and we have Slugma paralyzed. Pucciana's heart gauge is now depleted.
I think a good place to call it is there is Vander points out where the lab is. There's something in the beginning of it, and I think that's where we should call it after clearing that part of the game. Because we're about to go up 6 Pokemon. Also, the Pokemon coupons, this is the like the battle tower zone, but it actually gets you experience, so that's a good thing. But this is where you get Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and Ice Beam if you still want them. And then, of course, the battle items. There wasn't much back then. You just had... The only really standout ones were like the White Herb, the Quick Claw, the Bright Powder, which is now banned, The King's Rock could be fun. The Scope Lens is chancy though, but and then the only choice item we had back then was the choice band.
True. Okay, so there's a Abra and a Horsey.
And then of course the Shell Bell. And you get what I like to call the stat boosting bears. Do not buy these because they're not worth it because they're single use.
Yeah. But oh right, I'm fighting Kron now, and I'm guessing he's in reference to Gary if Eugene is in reference to Ash.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out something, and Jaden Animations pointed this out. Okay, their base is like, it's out in the middle of the desert, far from all points of society. So it's like, what in the world were you doing out there? It's literally just sand.
I mean, as far as secret bases go, it's better than a giant spiky tower in the middle of the city.
True. Team Galactic. Cough, cough.
I mean, why are the adults not acknowledging that the children are pointing out that this looks like an evil place?
Yeah. These guys always make me laugh.
Oh, and Puchiana is down. Okay, I'm sending in the bug.
Okay, so here's how this works. Half of these guys have good Pokemon, half of them do not.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Also, I'm not the only one who's definitely thought about this. Whenever you first look at a Shadow Pokemon in this game, Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level?
It's over 9,000!
What, 9,000? There's no way that can be right.
Or if they're in the abridged, it's 1,006.
1,006. What, really? Yep. Kick his ass now, Bob.
A cologne case?
My arm doesn't bend that way. My arm doesn't bend that way. Ah, now it does.
Or massages.
Yeah, so that's another alternative to raise how to increase the effectiveness of purifying a Shadow Pokemon, lowering its heart gauge.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was afraid of this opponent because that's quite the spike of a Pokemon this early in the game.
trainer, Eugene. You want to know one thing I can respect about the entire Pokemon series?
What's that?
The fact that they give a canonical reason why Ash's Pikachu drops in power level every single time.
Yeah.
It got extremely sick because it was overcharged and they had to drain its power. It got freaking zapped by a legendary Pokemon and got its power reset. Things like that make sense.
And meanwhile, Ash got hit with the idiots very hard.
I mean, I just think Ash has ADHD.
Possibly. But that was one of my gripes with the Black and White anime. It's like Ash got smacked with the idiot stick.
I just
He didn't
realized
get hit by it, he
Jolteon's
got
ability.
smacked.
My Jolteon has Volt Absorb.
Yep, by default, that's their default ability. It just happened to me because a Corfish used Bubble on my Vaporeon.
Oh.
So water absorb. I love how they keep attacking your Jolteon, by the way.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter that I'm dropping its accuracy. I could be completely avoiding it. Okay, now it mattered! And they did Thunder Wave Poochyena, so...
Yeah.
Okay, let's swap out who's in the lead because we aren't going to be using Poochyena. We're going to be using Teddiursa.
And that is the reason why I chose Vaporeon right there on my screen. Because I have a feeling my partner might want that one instead.
Is it Wooper?
No, but it will definitely suffice for a good portion of the game, and it's Spheal.
Oh. Alright, Teddiursa.
It will definitely be good for a good portion of the game.
Also, name for Teddiursa. It is male, so.
Boom, first Pokeball. Nice. They are kind of nice, and they do nerf some of the catch rates of some of the Pokemon. But it's still not guaranteed.
Ah, there we go.
There's only one Pokemon that they don't nerf its catch rate for, and it's on the cover of the game. But that's on purpose. Another reason why I pass on Teddiursa was because you probably want the fire option too. This part in the game. Which is Houndour. The earliest we've ever had access to that thing. Careful with battling it, though. It is no joke, as you would imagine. It's Houndour.
And it is literally Cerberus.
Yep. It's like, well, what am I going to do for fire types in time? You'll know in time. It's actually a Pokemon I've always wanted to use in a playthrough, so this actually works.
And with this, both of us will have Dark Doggos.
Yep, although I'm not going to keep the Poochyena once we get to a certain point.
And as awesome as Houndour is, after a certain point, it will become a bit more obsolete as well.
Houndoom can... I'm actually going to tell you something about this game. Houndour can actually carry you through this game.
Seriously?
It's actually really good. It also helps that it's your only fire option for a long part of the game.
I imagine we're supposed to come back here.
What, the HQ lab? No.
Oh.
It's supposed to, after you talk with Egan, you have the map back.
I have a paralyzed Pokemon. I'm gonna use the machine over here.
Now this one, I'm probably going to pass on because it's a decent Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but there are better options.
Alright.
Alright, so here is going to be my electric type, which is not the most original thing in the world for me to use. Spoiler alert, it's Mareep. Like I said, not the most original thing in the world to use, but it'll do. There is a very broken electric type we can get later on. It's a trade Pokemon, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But you get a, if you do a certain event, you get an Elekid with a moveset that was super competitive in this era. It has all 3 elemental punches plus cross chop. I love how I learned Water Gun while fighting the electric specialist. Is that just how that works?
It always is. Wormhole in the window.
You know what's fun, by the way? The rate that I'm going, after my retro stream, I'm probably going to stop being lazy and play the 7 remakes, which is like, I'm probably going to get to those by the time you do.
I'm not so sure about that.
Are you just going to play the straight up 7?
I'm going to play the 2013 version of 7.
Okay, so the more polished version of the original.
Yeah. I will do the remakes as their own thing because they changed so much about the storyline and everything, from what I understand.
Right. But like I said, I'm going to stop being lazy. It's like I'm probably going to be streaming that by the time you're on 7 proper. Which is going to be funny. Because after Yu-Gi-Oh! Is done, my next one's going to be a shorty, so... if only you had Thunder Shock at that point. Just insult that Wingull.
Wingull, the Zubit of the Bay.
Ah, yes, very smart. Uses water gun on my water absorber.
Fish in Swablu. And its shadow moves are changed into return and refresh. So,
now, return can be very lethal, especially later in the game.
And with stab.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll not be using you or you. So I'm going to roll with you two for the time being. At least the buttons on the Pro Controller are mapped properly. Like Z is where you expect it to be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one thing that kind of drove me nuts about Coliseum. So, unfortunately, Coliseum did the marginal sin of save points. You could only save at the PCs in a Pokemon Center. Or if they randomly have one in some random location. They changed it to where, you know, you just can save wherever in the overworld. It's just like, that's how it should have been in the first place, but oh well.
I mean, to be fair...
And these were also devs who didn't really know what they were doing at the point.
Yes, most games outside of Pokemon do have no save areas, or you can only save at save points.
Yeah.
And if they were being told they were doing it for a creature game, a creature gathering game, and they were just in charge of that portion of it, if they looked into the oldest ones, they would have come up with Shin Megami Tensei.
That is true. That is very true.
And at that point, we should be glad they didn't use the travel system of Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh no.
Imagine a Pokemon game where you have that dungeon crawler feel.
If I want to do that, I just play Mystery Dungeon.
Oh, no. The first-person dungeon crawler.
Oh no.
With no
I'm glad
map.
they figured it out by... I'm glad they figured that out by Persona.
With no map.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, that was the case until Shin Megami Tensei 3, I believe.
Yikes. So 3 games in is when they figure it out.
Yeah, it was also the case for the first couple of Persona games.
Yeah, I do remember that. Persona 3 was the first game when they kind of were finding their own identity with that series.
Persona 3 and Nocturne.
Yeah.
As well
just
as
one thing I
Digital
still-
Devil Saga, because I
One
think
thing I
it came
do
out around the
miss-
same time. And if you look at the Seraph from Digital Devil Saga, compare it to the Demi Fiend, there's quite the parallel in character design, overall theming, and situation.
One thing I do miss about Persona games as they go on is I get it due to the narrative of the games, but it's like no female lead after the 3rd game. Again, due to the narrative, because it's like I don't think you could. Well, you could have gotten away with Narukami's story, but you could not get away with Joker's.
Nah. Joker's was a very unique situation.
Yeah.
And his entire setup. But to be fair, let's see, the only times that Persona had a female lead was the 2nd game in 2 and the option in 3.
Yeah.
Which completely changed the storyline as well a bit. With apparently the same ending, Fury Swipes. I'm gonna see what Refresh does.
It heals a status condition.
Poisoning, paralysis, or burn specifically.
Yep.
I feel like that's not as good.
And now for the last member of the squad. What I find absurd, by the way, is, and you'll end up finding these guys here in a bit, is that they are more difficult than the guys down deep in the facility.
Huh.
In terms of battling. Like I said, I think we're just going to end up after fighting them.
I'm
Because
all the way back at
they're also...
so
What's that?
I'm all the way back at Bardo, so
Yeah. Well, that's literally next. Fighting the guards. Okay, I will say early on, your choices for fire types are just Flareon and Houndour. Water type is Spheal, which is and Vaporeon, and you also have Carvana, which was terrible at this point in the series because it did not. There were no physical water moves.
Wait.
Both of its typings were terrible for it.
Okay,
And then
now
your
Pokeballs
grass.
show up here. They weren't there before.
What's that?
Pokeballs weren't here before for sale.
Nope. Nope. There's actually an in-lore reason. Because this region does not have any wild Pokemon. And then your options for grass types early on are going to be Seedot and Shroomish. You probably want the Shroomish, don't you?
Hmm. 4 times weak to bug.
To
or-
flying, but...
or no. The other one's 4 times weak to bug versus 4 times
Yeah.
weak to flying.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, I have flying counter with Jolteon, and bug counter would end up being Houndour, but would be neutral. My statement stands!
Do you remember
It's
when
the
you mentioned
Rainbow
Power Rangers? Yep.
Prism Rangers from Disgaea.
Also, these guys are hilariously dumb.
Prism Rangers from Disgaea.
Yep. There is a grass type I do have my eye on, but we're not going to get it for quite a while. And that is
I'm gonna have to
Weeping
go
Bell.
with the one that's weak to flying.
And that is Weeping Bell, because Victory Bell is quite underrated. Otherwise, your only other option for grass types up to that point would be Roselia, which does not evolve yet. And Parasect, which is terrible.
Okay, I'm fighting Sniper Red. Oh, he's the one with Houndour.
Yep. They are color-coded because those are their type specialties. It's actually kind of clever.
Alright, first we need to get rid of his other one, but I'm going to first paralyze Houndour with Thunder Wave, and then...
Also careful, as I said, Houndour this early in the game is pretty rough.
yeah, and it's level 17 Shadow Pokemon. This is insane. Okay. I'm gonna risk it with Fury Swipes on Slugma. Paralysis procs on Houndour. Two hits. Smog. I'm going to sand attack Houndour, and I'm going to use return on Slugma. The less Houndour is able to do, the better.
Yep.
Okay, that wipes out his Slugma.
So best part, by the way, even if you do miss one of them, you can battle these guys as often as you want.
Okay.
So they're very good for grinding as well. They actually scale with you too. Like they actually get stronger based on certain events.
Oh. Oh, he's using Shadow Blitz. Oh boy, that was painful. Let's use Bite. And Metal Claw. These are not very effective, but this could cause
But
flight.
the other thing
And
about Houndour is it's not super bulky. So
yeah, I want to get it down to yellow first, though. Shadow Blitz again, and a missed, okay.
this was one of the Pokemon I think they nerfed its catch rate, made it easier to get. Because yeah, something like that's going to be this early in the game with just Pokeballs is going to be difficult.
True, true. Okay, this should be good. I'm just gonna leave a call on you. And it was paralyzed and down to that much, so...
Hey, that's, like I said, that's a pretty solid Pokemon that's early in the game. And you're free to use it because I have my sights set on another fire type. Because I've always wanted to use one in a playthrough, and it's Vulpix.
Alright, I'm going to go and heal up somewhere.
By the way, just go in the door behind them.
Oh?
There's a healing machine in there.
Ah. They're not very good guards, are they?
No, they're terrible at their job.
Perfect.
Because they're silly and they get a laugh out of you, but it shows how incompetent they truly are.
There's a PC here and a healing station right here. Alright, so let's see what other shadow Pokemon they have. I will catch them.
Yeah, this is where you start team building. Because that's why these 6 are here, essentially. Yeah, I love how silly they are.
They didn't even realize we'd got here. Okay. Alright. Let's see now. Green. You have grass.
The only one that doesn't really stick to a type specialty is the brown brown member.
Oddish and Pacquiao. Which one is the shadow one? these are Shadow ones. He has 6 Pokemon.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's the only one with a full team. I'm probably going to roll eventually once we get the capability to get it. I'm going to roll with the absurd Elekid instead of Mareep because I already used an Ampharos in a previous playthrough. And I want to mix it up a little.
That's fair. Probably should have bit the other one for the possibility of flinch. I forgot about that. Because it hardly ever happens.
Hey, even though this criminal organization is competent, you have to have some comic relief.
True. Fight the Lotad, turn on the Shroomish.
By the way, I will go ahead and say this. One of the admins of the organization has one of the weirdest looks you will ever see.
Tell me the Shadow Pokemon isn't Pineco.
Fortunately, it is not.
Okay.
Although Fortress is not awful because it's a wall.
It is a wall. A very easily burned down wall.
Well, yes. One more level, you get Thunder Shock.
Oh, you see that.
Yeah. I used Shift Tree in the past, and it underperformed. It was not as good as I thought it was. Also, the question becomes, it's like, well, what about if they do remake this, it's like, what about the Pokemon God Evolutions layers? Like, you could just put an item box somewhere and force the player to make a choice. Like, for example, say in the same area you find Murkrow, they can hand you a Dust Stone. But you would already have Mischievous at that point. So what do you do? Giving you a choice like that, that's actually a good way to do that. Not that you would choose Honchkrow over Miss Magius, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Because Miss Magius, that special attack stat is very monstrous.
It is.
There is one ROM hack I have. Yep, exactly. Also, there is one ROM hack I have that makes Mischievous a Ghost Fairy type. It's like, well, it is a wizard, so...
You're a wizard, Harry. You're a hairy wizard.
Talk about Hagrid.
It's how it should have gone.
Yep.
But at the same time, I now have the urge to make either a bugbear wizard or a furbug wizard, perhaps. Just so that that pun has something to actually go with. Alright. So it's after these 6 goons that our challenge of not being able to use the same Pokemon will commence.
Yep. Since these 6 will just hand you 6 Pokemon, essentially.
And even if you accidentally knock them out, you can just re-challenge them.
Yes. However, I will warn you, this is the last time they're nice about it. If you knock out a Shadow, from now on, it will disappear. You'll be able to get it again later, but we'll get there when we get there. You have to meet the character first before you can do that.
I'm so glad that he just keeps attacking this guy. Okay, I'm gonna use Bite now in addition to Shadow Blitz. Oh no. Okay, the Shadow Blitz should not take him down unless it's a crit.
Well, you said it, so...
And he got the paralysis. Fuck that. Words are weird.
Words are hard, aren't they? You've been hearing me struggling all day.
And for you, I'm just going to call, because that might... probably won't do anything. After all, this is going to happen first. And I mean, it's inbred and it's paralyzed. Alright, I'm going to go and heal up. And we'll see if these guys do anything stupid again when we come back out. Nope.
No, but if you do come back every now and then, they will do something stupid.
Alright, now I'm gonna challenge Water Guy. Yes, I named my Teddiursa Lunatic.
Hey, it works.
I mean, with how insane having return on him is.
You know what would have also made sense if you named it Syx.
Oh.
What's the name of his weapon?
True.
And what is his power?
Berserk Lunar Power.
Yep.
You know what I should have named it though? Issa.
Oh yeah.
Because we got him back from the darkness.
Yes.
Is there a renamer?
Yes, he's in the Agate village.
I will go back to Agate off stream and I will rename him Issa. Yeah, I figured that would one-shot Goldeen.
a good name for a male Vaporeon?
I don't know.
Alright, I'm blanking. What was the name of the What was the name of the water type Eevee brother?
I don't know. What would be a good name for a male Jolteon?
Seriously, that's his name. Oh well, I'll roll with it. His name is Rainer. Oop, wrong button.
Oh yeah.
The electric one is Sparky. Which, you know, that's a little bit unoriginal.
They're all unoriginal.
Yeah.
That's the point.
The fire guy is just Pyro. Although it's funnier in context if you think about Team Fortress. With how crazy the Pyro actually is.
Yeah. But if you tried to make an abridged Pokemon, you'd get sued into oblivion.
Yes, Master We just tried that, and yeah, that was not a fun thing to deal with. It's why he only got 20 episodes in and stopped. Because Pokemon was like, you can't do that.
Actually, no. I'm gonna try with the Premier Ball, I think. Alright, I have 3 left.
You know, one thing that kind of makes me sad in Coliseum, these guys, instead of, you know, just being like Red 6, Blue 6, kind of one-note names, the 3 color-coded guys were named Rosso, Verde, and then Bluno. I was like, you couldn't have at least called him Azul, really? Because it's like, whenever you hear the names of colors in other languages, it sounds cooler. I don't know why it is.
Oh, the Shadow one's already out? It's the Baltoy?
Yeah. No, it's not bad. Not terrible. Not the greatest either, though. Very bulky, though. I will say that.
That's right.
Claydol is one of the better dual screeners.
Ground types cannot be hit by Thunder Wave.
Right. See, this is the only guy who doesn't follow type specially. He follows his color.
He got the wrong memo from the team.
Yes. Although brown could also be, it's like I can just use rock types as well.
In his defense, most Pokemon are the same color within their type.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take out some of the one-note trainers that don't really do anything. They're just there to get in your way. I don't even think we get a proper bird Pokemon in the beginning.
Okay, I have to switch out Jolteon. We'll send in Poochyena. No, we'll send in Houndour, I mean. I was like thinking Poochyena. And then Metal Claw again.
Also, the other thing is, if this game's engine does feel a bit familiar, battle engine feel a bit familiar, they just copied and pasted from Stadium 2.
Alright, now, Pokeball, use...
It's like, I make that sound like it's a bad thing. No, it's not, but... there was some effort put in, too, because they had a completely... built from the ground up the Gen 3 Pokemon because they did not exist. Also, fun fact. This is probably common knowledge, but if you have multi-hit moves in a double battle and there's only one target, it does more damage.
Alright, I caught his Pokemon. That leaves yellow and purple.
So yellow has a Mareep. The purple one's kind of disappointing.
Let's see. A disappointing poison type. From Gen 3 or below. Well, it couldn't be Zubats because Gen 2 makes Zubat good. I doubt it would be Grimer because Muck is actually pretty decent.
Wheezing isn't bad either.
Does that mean it's Ekans?
No, unfortunately. They actually gave Arbok a little respect in this game. I know, right? Someone actually gave Arbok some respect.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the anime.
The chat's enabled, but I don't see anything going on with that. Alright, so he has 4 Pokemon. That's actually impressive.
No one's really said anything. I meant to put these earlier though because this is exactly my feeling. With what happened earlier. Oops.
Yeah! Oh, right. Tentacles, poison type.
See, he did get the memo.
This guy did get the memo. And it's not Tentacool that he has as his thing, though.
I wish, though, because Tentacruel is better than you think it is.
It is. Wait.
You wouldn't think anything so common would be good, but yeah. Tentacruel is one of those examples.
True. Oh! You were Gen 3.
Yep, like I said, very disappointing.
Why did I think he was Gen 5's attempt at replacing Primer?
Did they actually even do that in Gen 5? No, I don't think they did.
Trubbish was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Garbodor was the somewhat replacement for Buck.
Wait, why did I paralyze Grimer?
I am going to give the most original name to this Flaffy. Fluffy.
Alright, how about we decide off-screen which of them we'll be using?
Alright.
Good Prince to tackle! Hello, Thundershock.
Yep. Huh. What's funny is a lot of the Pokemon that I'm actually considering using have been female thus far. I'm keeping the Teddy Ursa in my party because Playdup is nice. I'm not going to use this because it's going to be there to give me items.
That's fair. Especially since we'll only have basically 5. No one's using Ladybug. Let's be honest.
No, Ledian is terrible, and they didn't get the Ladybug Pokemon right until Gen 8. And that was Orbeez.
True. I need to find Robotnik in my playthrough.
Yep. Although I would honestly think that I feel like it would be more of a Dr. Wily creation, but I don't know.
It could be both. And that's what makes it so good.
Also, Bug Psychic. Why didn't you think of that before?
I don't know. But the answer to that question bugs me.
Saw what you did there.
And it took them how long to get... It took them even longer to get the next one. Bug Dark type.
Was Spite off the first one?
No. Other one.
I mean Lokix.
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 Lokix was the first Bug Dark type.
Huh, so it is. Lokix is the first. Couldn't help but think there was one before, but yeah. Mandela effects, folks.
You probably
also
think
the fact
there was
that
one before because you've played various non-Pokemon games.
Yeah.
And we played Yugimon, so that might be where we got that from.
So, unused types, 4 of them are normal type combos. So, I don't really know
Normal
at
Bug,
this point if we could do that.
Bug Dragon have never been used before.
Yep.
Those
Ground
has-
Fairy, which that surprises me.
Ground Fairy, Fire Fairy.
You would have thought Victini would have been made that.
No, they're keeping them Fire Psychic.
Yeah.
So, we're going to bite this one and then return Chinchou.
I know it's unoriginal, but I think that Gen 10's fossil Pokemon should be the Rock Ghost type. if they do that. You know, I'm honestly surprised that Spiritomb isn't Rock Ghost.
No, it's Ghost Dark.
I know, because of it's a bunch of evil spirits fused together, so it makes a lot of sense in context.
It really does. And honestly, I don't dislike that for it. And it
Also,
is
ice poison has
108
not been done.
evil spirits.
And I've seen some media where it actually is like dark ride. It means no harm, but due to its makeup, that's why it's vicious.
I'm going to use a metal claw on you. And how I can say a lot of things about the Legends games, especially ZA. Arceus was good though.
Yes.
And
Yes, it was.
especially the fact that they gave Spiritomb the
Oh,
what it
yeah,
deserved.
that's right.
It had a
It had
fetch
its own
quest
plot.
where you got 107 wisps for a strange little girl that only appeared at night.
And turns out she was the 108th.
It's hinted at but never directly said, which makes
True,
it just so
because it's
much
like-
more perfect.
After you get it, she vanishes. Also, her name is Vessa,
Yeah,
which is a pun on vessel.
because she is the vessel holding the other 170 wisps. We're gathering them to bring them back to the keystone. A very peculiar keystone. One might even call it odd.
Yep. I do like that in, as the series went on, though, they made Spiritomb a lot easier to get, because my word was annoying in the original, when it debuted.
And to be fair, as a Pokemon that had no weakness,
That
it
made
was
sense,
reasonable to make it that hard to get. We'll set up a Shadow Blitz with you, but we're gonna throw a Pokeball.
There's also a ROM hack of this game, surprise, surprise, where they change some Pokemon and change other characters, like to have different Shadow Pokemon, but they make some of the... They basically turn fighting the admins into a Kaiser run because of how ridiculous they are. Because, like, each admin later on in their rematch has 2 legendary Pokemon that you have to go through. One of the Regigolems and one of the legendary birds. Each. Alright, well, I think that's a good place to call it. Especially since all the delays on my part because of my own stupidity.
Alright.
And Spheal is a pretty good Pokemon. Water, Ice type has always been pretty darn solid.
Yeah, I'm going to try and mute myself while I do my spiel, so we'll stay on call
Yep.
and we will discuss what teams we will set up during that time. I hope you all enjoyed today's stream, and I hope you drop a follow here on my channel and on Ryunokage 33's channel. over on Twitch. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe down below. No matter the site, no matter the time, hit that bell for notifications and check out my Discord and Ryu's Discords for go live notifications for each of us and to, in my case, vote on things like what game I play next, what kind of character I make, add a bit of chaos to my streams. It makes things more fun. And if you did enjoy my stuff and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to check out my channel here in the middle. If there's too much there and you don't know where to start, not a problem. Here on the right is a playlist of me playing a different game entirely. I'll even make sure it's one that's a collab with Ryu. And if my stuff wasn't for you, but you stuck around anyway, here on the left's video YouTube thinks you will like. Stay safe, stay happy, stay crazy. Bye.